Welcome to Sparkverse. Today's video brings together two question types in one sitting: short answer questions and sentence completion. Question types 5 and 6 in your listening study journey. These two show up constantly, especially in the later sections of the test. So getting comfortable with both is going to make a real difference for you. I'll walk you through exactly what each one looks like on the page. A clear step-by-step strategy for answering each with confidence. The mistakes that trip up even strong test takers. And the specific traps the setters love to use. Then we'll work through a full practice recording for each one, just like your real exam preparation would ask of you. Let's get into it. And if this lesson helps you, please like it, subscribe to Sparkverse, and drop a comment letting me know your questions and the target band score you're working toward. I'd genuinely love to know what you're aiming for. Let me walk you through short answer questions. These ask you to answer a direct question using just a few words in, or a number, based on facts actually stated in the recording. They can turn up anywhere, but you'll see them most in an academic discussion or an academic lecture, where specific facts and figures come up naturally. Here's the strategy. Before listening, read each question and identify its question word. How many tells you a number is coming. Who tells you a name is coming. Why tells you to listen for a reason. Underline the key content words in the question itself so you instantly recognize related vocabulary, or its synonym, when it appears in the recording. Answer with the shortest accurate phrase possible. A noun or noun phrase. Never a full sentence. And write it down the moment you hear it rather than waiting to see if more detail is coming. Now, the mistakes. The biggest one is writing a full sentence when a short phrase was needed, which almost always breaks the word limit. Close behind that is including unnecessary description. If the recording calls something a tiny parasite called the varroa mite, your answer is just varroa mite, not the descriptive words around it. Also watch for dropping a required unit. Writing 180 instead of 180 kilograms and for misspelling names or key terms, because spelling still counts here. Finally, the traps. Listen for definition language like is called, known is, or referred to is, because that almost always introduces the exact term you need. Watch for, not X, but Y, corrections, where the speaker mentions the common assumption first and then corrects it. Like predators being ruled out in favor of the varroa mite, or campus gardens being ruled out in favor of lime trees. The corrected version is nearly always the real answer. And when a number gets corrected mid-sentence, always go with the final, corrected value. When in doubt, go shorter. A correct 2-word answer beats an over-explained 5-word one that breaks the limit.
Good afternoon everyone. Today I want to talk about our university's urban beekeeping initiative, which began back in 2019 as a small research project led by Dr. Elena Foster from the biology department. What started with just 4 hives on the roof of the science building has now grown to 22 hives across 3 different campus locations. One of the biggest challenges the program faces isn't actually predators, as many people assume. It's a tiny parasite called the varroa mite, which weakens bee colonies by feeding on their fat reserves and spreading viruses between them. To help manage this, the team monitors hive health using a method called comb sampling, where a small section of honeycomb is examined under a microscope every 2 weeks to check for mite levels. As for what the bees actually forage on, most people guess flowers in the campus gardens, but the truth is the majority of their pollen actually comes from the lime trees that line the main avenue, since they flower for several weeks in early summer and produce far more nectar than the garden beds. The program has become so successful that last year it produced almost 180 kilograms of honey, most of which is sold at the campus farmers market to fund further research.
Now let's move on to sentence completion. This one gives you full, grammatically complete sentences with a single gap in each, summarizing key information from the recording. It shows up across several sections. And the key difference from other completion tasks is that your answer has to fit the exact grammar of the printed sentence, not just express the right idea. Take a sentence like, Mia's dissertation compares vertical farming with blank farming. The structure already tells you the gap needs an adjective or noun that sits directly before farming, and that narrows down what you're listening for before the audio even starts. Here's the strategy. Before listening, read each sentence and work out what part of speech is needed in the gap. A noun, a verb, an adjective, a number. Use the words immediately before and after the gap as grammar clues. They often make the required word type obvious. Listen for the recording's own wording. Then adapt it if needed so it fits smoothly into the printed sentence. And stay within the word limit, which for sentence completion is often stricter. Commonly no more than 2 words. After writing your answer, mentally reread the completed sentence to check it actually makes sense. Now, the mistakes. The most common is ignoring the sentence's grammar entirely. Writing a verb where a noun is clearly needed. Or vice versa, which makes the sentence wrong even if the idea is right. Also watch for copying too much from the recording, pulling in extra words that don't fit the printed structure and push you over the limit. And for changing the word form incorrectly. Writing, efficient, when the sentence needs efficiency or a singular where a plural was required. And finally, the traps. Treat the words around the gap as a genuine grammar test. If there's a or an right before the blank, you need a singular noun. Expect paraphrase, not exact wording, since the printed sentence is usually a reworded version of what the speaker actually says. Technical terms and proper nouns. Crop names, place names, method names are often copied directly from the recording with no rewording needed. And if you're ever torn between 2 possible words, pick whichever one keeps the sentence grammatically correct. That's almost always the deciding factor.
Morning, Mia, thanks for coming in. So, how's the dissertation on vertical farming coming along?
Good morning, Dr. Bennett. It's coming along well. I've just finished the literature review section.
Great, and what's your main research question at this point?
I'm looking at whether vertical farming can genuinely reduce water usage compared to traditional soil-based farming, not just theoretically, but with real data.
That's a strong angle. And which crop are you focusing on for your case study?
I've chosen lettuce, mainly because it has a short growth cycle, which means I can run several complete growing trials within my research timeline.
Sensible choice. Where are you actually conducting your trials?
I've got access to the greenhouse facility on the North Campus. They've let me set up 2 separate hydroponic towers there.
Good, and how are you measuring water efficiency exactly?
I'm comparing total water input against crop yield by weight, so I get a clear ratio I can compare directly to the soil-based control group.
And what have your preliminary results shown so far?
So far, the vertical system has used around 40% less water for the same yield, which is even better than I expected, honestly.
That's a compelling early finding. What's your biggest challenge right now?
Honestly, it's been maintaining a consistent nutrient balance in the water. Small fluctuations seem to affect the lettuce growth rate more than I anticipated.
That's a common issue in hydroponic research. When's your final data collection deadline?
I'm aiming to finish all data collection by the end of November, so I have enough time to write up before the January submission.
Let's recap what we covered today. Short answer questions ask for a direct fact, a name, a number, a date, or a short phrase. And the real skill is trimming your answer down to exactly what's needed while catching those, not X, but Y, corrections. Sentence completion hands you a ready-made sentence with one gap. And the real skill there is letting the grammar around that gap guide the part of speech you're listening for. Between the two of them, you now have the format, the strategy, the common mistakes, and the traps for both types fully covered. And that's real progress toward your target band. If this lesson helped you, please like it, subscribe to Sparkverse, and share it with a classmate who's also working through their exam preparation. It genuinely helps us keep making more of these for free. Here's what's coming next: the next full listening practice test that brings all 6 question types together in one sitting, so you can practice switching between them the way you'll need to on exam day. IELTS. Thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye on our channel for the date of our next live practicing session. Keep going, you're doing great.